Hey guys, it's Jem. So, it's been a little while since I've come on, but I want to come on and talk about boundaries today. A, from personal experience, but B, also because I feel like it's something the collective really need to understand at the moment, especially the empaths, the sensitives. You guys know what's up. So like I said, I've been absent for a while, but this came through in my meditation this morning. So I want to basically establish why boundaries are important and how to tell when you have a boundary and when to tell you are projecting, okay? And not just you, but others projecting onto you. So boundaries are basically rules for yourself. They're things that you value, and they're very important, something we weren't ever really taught. And for those of us who have childhood wounds around codependency, narcissistic abuse, things like that, it can be very hard to have boundaries because we've kind of been chasing love our whole lives. So by telling people no, or that we don't feel appreciated or respected, a lot of the times we suppress that because we are afraid that they might leave our lives or they'll abandon us. Okay. And like I said, as a child, that's scary, but that sort of also, if you feel that way and are more willing to put up with people mistreating you or devaluing you, probably best they abandon you, really. But also, like I said, this is also showing us where wounds need healing. Okay, so always look at the gift in that, rather than blaming and playing the victim that people are taking advantage of you. Now, a boundary is basically saying that you don't feel comfortable with that behavior. Okay, just saw an orb. And what this could look like for some, especially those like in the dating game, this is a very common one. You might have had a bit of a run of bad luck with relationships, and you might think, okay, I'm going to take things slow. I'm going to not, maybe sleep with someone on the first date. I might take it, 3 or 4 times. Maybe start small, like whatever, you get the idea. So say, for example, you've gone out on this date and you said, I don't sleep with people on the first date, if it came up in conversation, and that person kept like pushing, like, I don't see the big deal about it, we're 2 single people, like, you've got to know if it feels good, or like, I don't have anything, we're all that kind of stuff. You have every right to be like, look, this is something that's very important to me, and if you don't respect that, like, I'm sorry, but yeah, you don't even have to be sorry. But if that is truly a core value to you and someone keeps pushing, like, that's a clear sign straight away that they're not going to respect you further down the track. Okay, as soon as people can get across your boundaries, they will keep pushing for that. So that's why it's important to understand your boundaries first and foremost, because you might think you have a boundary, but if you say yes to some people and no to some people, maybe you need to refocus, like, on whether that is a boundary or not, or whether you just kind of depend on people. So that's, for example. Another example could be like in the workplace. Maybe you're someone who picks up the slack from other staff members, or maybe your boss takes advantage of you and asks you to do overtime more often than you're contracted for, things like that. So it's important to say, and raise your voice is like the word that just chatted in there. Boundaries are all about raising your voice. You don't have to feel guilty about saying something that makes you feel uncomfortable. And it might not be uncomfortable in the form of like a sexual or a touching kind of way. It can just be uncomfortable with feelings. If someone's constantly walking around being a negative Nancy and screw this and screw that and this person, shoot and blame, projecting stuff, you have every right to remove yourself from that situation, because the concept is when we absorb in energy, and this can even just be like scrolling through Facebook, reading through comment sections, you don't even have to actually engage, but it's absorbing. When you absorb that behavior, that is also crossing your own boundaries by not like limiting your Facebook use, or maybe you need to unfollow groups that are constantly trolling each other, whatever. It's really understanding what makes you feel good, what makes you feel comfortable, what you're willing to tolerate from others, and communicating that in all areas of your life. So this isn't necessarily about you can still connect with people who may not have the same boundaries or values, but it's important that people just understand that if something happens and you say calmly, I'm sorry, but that makes me feel really uncomfortable. If that's what you want to keep doing, I might just go do something else. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to hate people. You don't have to remove people or situations from your life because you have boundaries. You just need to respect yourself enough to remove yourself from situations. For example, my ex, he used to fire off at me, and, you know, it was always, you know, to the point of gaslighting to a degree, where I would actually start to question, like, had I done something wrong? And that was because I would just let him kind of project. And that I never sort of stopped and said, excuse me, but you're making me feel uncomfortable. I feel like you're insulting me. You know, can you explain calmly, like, what I've done wrong, if I've done something to hurt you? But instead I kind of just let it go, and then I'd take myself away and then overthink the whole process and try and figure it out. So, you know, had I calmly stopped and stalled the situation, you know, that might have avoided. But, you know, lessons learned. And this is why it's important to have boundaries. If someone's just bashing you, like, not physically, but just like emotionally damaging you, like, you know, making jokes or sarcastic comments about what you wear or how you look or what you said, or like this, you are more than able to say, excuse me, but I really don't appreciate the way you talk to me. I feel very offended, and, you know, if I've done something, I'd rather you communicate it as opposed to project at me. Or, you know, can I do something to like, yeah, can we talk about it if I've done something to bother you? But again, some people will just project. Okay, there are people out there that are like that. They're not going to listen. They're not going to tolerate people trying to calmly communicate, and that's okay. But, you know, you still have every right to stand up and say, excuse me, but I don't feel comfortable with this discussion. And if they want to keep trying to cross that boundary, that's when you say, I'm actually going to remove myself from the situation because I don't feel comfortable here and I don't feel like you're respecting what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? But if removing yourself from situations or telling people you're going to walk away because you don't feel comfortable scares you, that kind of highlights a bit of a childhood abandonment wound. So that's a really positive thing to acknowledge, and take yourself and do some healing around that, okay? No judgment. But this is where boundaries help us heal, because the more we can recognize why we chase and project and do certain things with other people can help us heal, so that we don't need to keep chasing external stimuli to heal us. Okay, so boundaries are very important, and boundaries come from a place of authenticity, they come from a place of heart, and they come from a place of self-respect and self-love. Okay, now people sometimes think they have boundaries, but really it's their excuse to project, because they don't actually want to feel what they're feeling. So an example might be, you know, like I said, someone might keep talking about a conversation you're not really, like, happy with. Or you might, like I said, go on a date and someone's just constantly nagging at you about, you know, their expectations and what they wear, and you're just kind of like, oh my God, you know, what is going on? Now, for you to turn around and be angry with someone, like if someone's, say, maybe badgering you, upsetting you, insulting you, if you were to fire up and turn around and be like, how dare you insult me? You're an asshole. You know, you've got your own problems. F you. Like, don't talk to me like that. That is projection. It's not wrong, but it's projection. Now, if someone is yelling at you, you can simply say, I'm going to walk away from this situation and we can talk when you've calmed down, because I don't appreciate being spoken to like this. And obviously, if they keep going, you just need to leave. But like I said, if you are talking to someone and they fire up, so say, for example, like you are, you know, back to that first date situation, you're like, I am not comfortable sleeping with someone on the first date, and then they start calling you names, or you're a frigid, you're a virgin, like, what the fuck's wrong with you, blah, blah, blah. That's a projection, okay? So that's the difference. If you can turn around and if you want to go hell for leather at someone and point and blame and how dare you and this is what you've done to me and blah, 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 play victim, that's not a boundary, that's a projection. But if you say, you know, I feel this relationship has really made me lose myself and I don't think I'm comfortable continuing, that's a boundary. So I just wanted to sort of point out the difference. And like I said, this is just coming from my sort of personal experience, but I hope it helps clarify. And again, it's being calm and collected. If the person you're trying to negotiate with or express yourself to isn't meeting you halfway, like say for example, if you are in a new relationship or you've just started a new job, like especially when you start a new job, they say, what do you expect from us in an interview process? Yeah. So it's a similar kind of thing. When they are honest with you, this is what we expect from you as an employee, you then say, and this is what I expect from you as an employer. So you kind of set those boundaries at the start. And then if either side tries to cross, you've got a mutual ground to come back to and say, hey, look, this has happened and I feel like you don't respect me a lot. I just wanted to bring it to attention to see if we can repair it. It opens the door to a mutual negotiation. Okay, and it may be, this is when you're working with two conscious people, mind you. Like I said, if you're dealing with manipulators, narcissists, trauma, potentially this will only be met one-sided. So a lot of the time it's best to just walk away, take your boundaries in your respect and go, as hard as it is. Okay, but we are really rising as empaths now. We are really rising as sensitives. A lot of the time empaths meet with narcissists so that they can grow stronger and realize they need boundaries and, watch their ego. And then narcissists feed off empaths because they have that sensitive energy and they can manipulate. So again, it's not about the labels, but these are usually the dynamics that we meet in our lives to heal so that we can, like I said, depending on what side we're on, we know where we need to balance out. Okay, so I hope that's been helpful. And like I said, this isn't about labeling people. This isn't about judging people or yourself. This is about taking the time to really sit and ask yourself the questions. What is important to me? What would I not tolerate from a partner, a work colleague, a boss, a parent, a friend, myself? Always comes back to self. So, take this time while the world is still turning and going into that newer transition, because the more you can understand yourself, the more you can heal and place boundaries and values that align to you, the better relationships you're going to go out there and have when we can all reconnect again, okay? And there's nothing wrong with standing up for yourself. If someone's mistreating you or making you feel bad, you have every right to tell them that that is not okay. And if they don't like it, like I said, that's your clear sign from the universe that your lesson here is done. You're out. Okay, we can't keep continuing on and, making people feel good, trying to fix people. We want to start making ourselves and people feel good from a place of love, but also giving them conscious awareness that they're responsible for their energy as well. And if they're going to project on you, you're not going to sit there and be a soundboard for them, okay? You can help them if they are willing to be helped, but a lot of the time people just like somewhere to shoot it. So send them love, send them healing. And just, again, go and look after your own energy, because the more light you can shine, the higher the vibration you can get to, the more that ripples out to other people. And yes, some people will see that light and want to go suck the soul out of it. And this is where your boundaries are important. Okay, this is just this transformation that we're all going through as a collective. So it's so important now to respect yourself, heal yourself, and understand what you will and will not tolerate moving forward. Okay, this is stepping into your power. This is becoming authentic. This is being okay with not pleasing everyone and not being able to help everyone. You please yourself, you fix yourself, you heal yourself, and that, like I said, that ripples out. Lead by example. That is Spirit's final. Lead by example. Okay. I hope that helps, guys. Comment below, let me know. And like I said, take this time to really start thinking about where your values and your boundaries lie. Okay. Use this time to do this work. It's going to be so much more powerful as we move forward. Thanks for listening.